What is up, my friends? How are you today? I hope you're doing awesome, because I am. Anyway, as the title says, this is about when I was, this video is about when I was 21 and I backpacked Europe all by myself for 3 months. So here we go. So basically, of course, I'm not going to cover the entire trip because that would take, probably a month to tell the whole story. But I'm going to cover the highlights and the points that stood out. So get ready to hold on to your seat because this is going to be one hell of a ride. So basically, I was at this point in my life where I was just like, I'm going to college. I'm 21 years old, and I really have no direction. I don't know what I want to do. The only reason I'm in college right now is because my dad told me to go to college. So I'm like, he said, that's the only way you're going to get a job and ever going to make money. So I said, hey, I'll go to college, get a degree, and that'll be it. But I had a different route. I needed, after all the things I had been through, such as in the past couple of years, such as the plane crash, the coma, the death of my mom, all these horrific events, disabilities, all this stuff. I was just like, man, I got to get out of here. I just want to run away. I want to escape. I feel sick of living here and being here. So I got to get away. So, and I wanted some adventure. I was kind of bored, frankly. And basically I was talking to one of my friends. He was telling me about how he had this amazing adventure in Europe. He was there in the summer before for 1 month, and he was telling me all these awesome, crazy stories about what he did. I was like, man, I got to get away. I got to do something like that. And then I saw this the next day. I saw a video on the Travel Channel about how cool the hostels are in Europe, how much fun they are, and the cool people you meet. So I was like, maybe that's a sign I got to go. So I had this burning desire to just get up and go. And so knowing me, I'm a very curious person. I'm very curious about people. I'm very fascinated by cultures and just different ways of living. So I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to go because I've got about $4,000 saved up in my bank account from the past couple months. So why not just take a semester off and just go, right? Might as well, because I figured when I'm older, I probably won't be as able-bodied, and when I'm retired, it wouldn't be nearly as fun. So why not go now, right? So I looked online, searched Expedia.com for the cheapest tickets, and I found a one-way ticket to Europe for $400. I was like, this is it. This is the sign that I have to go to Europe and have an awesome time. So basically, I went to REI, grabbed 2 backpacks, grabbed the one bigger backpack for my clothes, and then a smaller one that I could carry with me all the time. And basically, in the bigger backpack, I packed like 2 pairs of jeans, 5 pairs of t-shirts, some socks, underwear, and I packed. In my small backpack, I packed. Oh yeah, also that's right. I also brought a sleeping bag because I heard the beds and the hostels are kind of gross. So I was like, what? Every night I'm just gonna sleep in my sleeping bag, so that way, I won't get any bed bugs or any weird whatever is in the beds, So so basically in the small backpack, I packed my Lonely Planet Ireland book because that's the first spot I was going. I bought one Lonely Planet book because, I knew I wanted to go to Ireland, and I packed a compass in my small backpack and my laptop so I could keep my pictures on there. I kept the camera, and then just my passport, of course, in my small backpack. And then, of course, the goal was to stay there for 3 months, basically the whole semester, so that when I got back, I could just start school again, the following semester. And of course, like I said, I had $4,000, so I had to kind of budget my money pretty well. Limit my meals, live in as inexpensively as possible, so I could make it 3 months. And so, of course, I told my friends, hey, I spotted a ticket to Europe. I'm leaving Europe. My friends thought I was joking. They thought I was freaking crazy. They're like, what the hell? You're going by yourself to Europe, dude? That's a bad idea, man. I hope you make it back. I'm really scared for you. I said, nah, man, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. I'll be good. I'll be good. Trust me. Trust me. Everything's good. You know, everything will work out. I'll be good. I'll see you in 3 months. So I told people that. And then I told a few family members too, like my sister. And she's like, okay, I wish you good luck. You know, I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like that. And you know, so basically I hopped on the plane a week after I bought the ticket, I hopped on the plane to Ireland, and it was like a 13 or 14 hour plane ride. Got to Ireland, got off the plane, and I just started talking to people, trying to socialize myself as soon as I possibly could, because that way I always feel more comfortable when I'm talking to people, like when I'm connecting with people. One thing I loved was I love the Irish accent. They just, every time I hear it, it makes me smile. The Irish accent, I love it. Anyway, yeah, and so I would just walk around the city, you know, walk around Dublin, Ireland. I would go around meeting people, talking to all kinds of different people, and the funny thing is, like most of the people there were very social. But there was a lot of people on the streets, which is really cool. Like, there was a lot of people playing bagpipes, a lot of people, you know, wearing the kilts, which is like the traditional Irish outfit. It's also a traditional Scottish outfit too. But there were a lot of like people just on the streets, just hanging out, having a time, laughing, and of course the bars were pretty packed. You know, I went to the bars, and they like to drink in Ireland, as you probably know. And Guinness is the one beer that actually was my favorite beer at the time. So I love Guinness, and they love their Guinness. And so, you know, I went to the bars, had some Guinness, and it's funny, like whenever I walked inside a bar, I'd sit down, you know, and they'd be like, hey, how's it going? Would you like me to buy a beer? I was like, all right, cool. You know, which was totally weird, because I wasn't used to people just totally right up off the bat offering me to buy me a beer. I'm like, that's cool. That's really nice. Nice, friendly people. I remember a lot of people would talk about mostly like what I was gonna do traveling, and what I thought of Ireland, and what I thought of the U.S. And then at the time, there was elections going on. So there was one of the guys who kind of had an issue with the politics in America, which a lot of Europeans seem to have. But anyway, I think overall the Irish people were freaking awesome, and I love them. They're so nice. One of the times, it was really funny. It was really, really crazy, actually. One night I was just walking, and I couldn't find my hostel, and I was looking for like 20 minutes, and I was like, oh man, I was about to give up. I was like, shoot, where am I gonna go? So I asked this random person, I'm like, hey, do you know where the such and such hostel is? He's like, yeah, follow me. So I expected to be like 1 minute away or something, like just walk me there. I was like, cool. But he ends up walking me like 20 minutes, like right to the hostel door. I'm like, this guy just walked me 20 minutes. I was like, dude, I want to give him a tip or something. He's like, no, man, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So we were just chatting along the way, and he just took off right there. Right after he took me to the door, he just left. I was like, wow, these people are freaking nice. Really, really nice. So basically, and one thing I want to say about the hostels is it's really cool. Like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've seen the movie Hostel. Well, it's nothing like that, but hostels are pretty cool. When you're a young traveler, it's the best way to meet people, and there's so nice people in there. Everybody in hostels are basically, most of them are solo travelers, so they're looking to meet people. They're looking to make friends. So starting a conversation is really easy to build a connection fast with hostels, because I thought the travelers were definitely some of the friendliest people I've ever met, for sure. Yeah, so I remember like when I was in Ireland, I did a lot of walking on my whole trip. I walked a ton every day, miles and miles and miles. And I remember walking down, riding a bus down a little south of Dublin, a place called Dunleary, and It was beautiful. I remember just these sailboats on the side, on the side of these cliffs that I was walking on. These cliffs with a big drop at the side, and it was really green. And I just remember, I remember the time I was listening to this music, because when I would get kind of lonely or just in my head, I would turn on some music and just be in like the zone. I'd be in a whole nother place. It was almost like music therapy. It's like it's therapy. And I remember listening to Coldplay. It was just so beautiful. I think the album's called A Rush of Blood to the Head. I remember listening to that when I was just walking in that area, Dunleary, which is south of Dublin, like I said. Beautiful place. So afterwards, I wanted to fly out of there. I was in Dublin for about a week or 10 days or something like that. And then I bought a cheap flight on Ryanair, which is a really cheap airline in Europe. If you ever go to Europe and want to travel locally, a cheap flight, I think it was $40 for a flight from Ireland to London, which was amazing. So I spent $40. I mean, granted I think it's an Irish airline, so it was pretty awesome. So I flew to London next, and London was cool. You know, London. Based on this trip, I wanted to do things I could not do at home. You know, not back in America, of course, is home for all your international viewers. So I watched a game of cricket, and of course, basically, back at home was Fresno, California, which isn't very like metropolitan. It's kind of a city, but it's kind of like a lot of farms too. So it's a mixture, but it's nothing like San Francisco or LA or San Diego or New York, nothing like that. So I traveled on the underground metro in London for the first time. They call it the Tube over there, which is pretty cool. And I remember just walking around, like meeting a bunch of people, walking in bars, meeting a ton of couples, and just making a lot of friends everywhere I went. A lot of small talk, you know, but it was great to connect with people, and it was amazing how much the Europeans that I met loved to hang out in the bars, and it's interesting also that they could drink at age 16 or 18. I think beer is served when you're 16, and when you're 18, you can drink any type of alcohol, as opposed to like 21 when you're in the States. So it's definitely a different experience. I remember really liking a place called Camden Town in London, which I thought was really cool. It's kind of like a creative artistic place. So I really like that. And basically I walked the entire city. I walked through Westminster Abbey, Tower Bridge, the Big Ben, the Buckingham Palace, just basically walked all over London. Awesome experience. And then boom, I flew another Ryanair flight over to Scotland for like a day or two. That was like $35, I think it was euro, 35 euro to get from London to Scotland, Edinburgh, Scotland. And Scotland was great. You know, I had to see Scotland. I love the Scottish accent. Makes me smile and laugh. When I got to Scotland, I was kind of surprised in Edinburgh how many Lamborghinis I saw. I saw like at least 10 Lamborghinis in Edinburgh driving around. I was like, wow, this is really a pretty more affluent city than I would have ever imagined. There were people playing kilts. People wearing kilts and playing bagpipes, just like Ireland. Really cool. I remember going up to the Edinburgh Castle, and at 1 o'clock every day, they shoot like a cannon into the water, a cannonball into the water. So I thought that was pretty amazing to see that. And then after that, my day in Edinburgh, I went over to Amsterdam. Amsterdam's a crazy cool place. You know, everyone in Amsterdam, there's a lot of bikes. So if you love to bike, Amsterdam's a cool city. There's beautiful, I'm not sure if you've seen pictures of Amsterdam or been there, but it's really cool. There's like little rivers or canals through the city and a bunch of bridges. And one thing Amsterdam, of course, is known for is coffee shops. So in coffee shops, marijuana or cannabis is legal. So, of course, I was curious, and when in Rome, you know, so there have pretty much anything you can imagine, for anything from something called White Widow to Granddaddy Purple to Kush, all kinds of different stuff. And I would just be in the coffee shop trying some of the different cannabis. And then I remember walking over to the various museums, such as the Van Gogh Museum, and I would just look at one picture for like 5 or 10 minutes, just looking at one picture and just being in complete awe. I would like create this story inside my head of all the different images and all the beautiful backgrounds and all the beautifulness and power that each painting had. I was just impressed. Really, really cool experience. And then I remember walking outside the museums, and there was some bridges and things like that, and there would be people underneath the bridges playing violins and cellos. And at that point, I fell in love with the sound of the cello. I was like, oh my God, this is so like powerful and emotional, and just like these just amazingly beautiful music. So I was so amazed. I would just sit there listening to a man play the cello for like 10 minutes and just be in a whole different world. I loved it. It was amazing. And then I was, of course, walked the city like I do whenever in the city, and I ended up in a place called the Red Light District. It was very fascinating. It was interesting because in the Red Light District, they have windows out on the top of these buildings, and around these windows there's red lights, and there's curtains, and inside these curtains there's women that are trying to lure people in, men and women. They're basically in bikinis and things like that. So it's really interesting. And then when I was in the Red Light District, it's kind of sketchy over there. I mean, of course, because there's people walking on the street also that are trying to sell drugs. So I'll be walking, I'll just have a straight face and try to look as serious as I could, so people wouldn't bother me. But there would always be people walking by, and they'd be like, crack, 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 crack. I was like, kind of scary. So I guess there were people trying to sell me crack. Is what I imagine they were trying to do. Anyway, so I walked the city, and of course I made it back to my hostel, which was the Flying Pig. And some of you that might have been to Amsterdam might have gone to the Flying Pig, but it's a pretty cool hostel. Remember, they have like a coffee shop inside there, and really friendly people. So it's a good one. And then in the hostels, I remember everybody wanting to watch the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and just being amazed with the beauty of Thailand. And people were always talking about how they want to travel to Thailand and how beautiful Thailand is and how it's like paradise. So that's one of the spots that I went to years later. After this trip, I went to Thailand. And after Amsterdam, I flew over to Munich on EasyJet for like €50. And at the time, it was October, so guess what? I went to the Oktoberfest, which is the biggest beer festival in the world. Now, I'm not a big beer drinker, but like I said, when in Rome, gotta drink the beer. And it's cool because over there they have beer steins, which are like this big. Well, they're basically liters of beer. They're huge. So basically, the crazy thing is like there's about 20 different beer tents with all types of different beer, one beer per tent, and these tents are filled with hundreds, if not thousands, of people, and they're packed by 8 in the morning. It's crazy. So I get there like 10 o'clock, and it was already filled. Of course, there's people everywhere, and I was really surprised how many Americans there were at the Oktoberfest. I expected there mostly to be Germans or people who didn't really speak much English, but I was totally surprised because that's not the case at all. Everybody, actually probably like 1/3 of the people there were American English-speaking people. And then the other people were Germans and other Europeans and some people from Australia. There were a lot. I met a lot of Australians there too. So it was a pretty crazy experience. And I remember like after a beer, everybody would like to go on the rides where there was a big Ferris wheel everybody went on, and I remember just really feeling the Ferris wheel and just feeling like I'm like, okay, just gotta stay strong and not get sick and just enjoy the ride. So did that, and it was cool, like because it was very traditional too, because people at the Oktoberfest, men were wearing the lederhosen, women were wearing the dirndls, I think that's how you say it, dirndls, and they were serving the beers, and these women would carry like 5 steins in each hand. I was like, oh my god, I can barely carry 1 stein in one hand, but these women were carrying 5 in each hand, like serving the beers. I was like, damn, it's crazy. It was really a crazy experience. Yeah. So then at the Oktoberfest, I remember meeting a guy named Josh, and he actually stayed in my hostel. So we hung out for the day, and we ended up being friends. He was from Oregon, and he was a good guy. And we actually ended up traveling for the next 2 weeks together. So that's one of the cool things about people you meet in hostels. Sometimes you'll make friends along the way, and you'll travel with them for a couple days or a week. And then you can stay in touch after your trip, or if you guys bond, it's really cool. And then I remember being on the train. I like to, when I get lonely, of course, or bored, I would like to read books. Which is one of the books I read. It was The Life of Pi, which was a really cool book. I'm not sure if you guys saw the movie, but it's kind of like the boy who goes on the boat, and there's a tiger on the boat. I don't remember it totally, but I remember it was really interesting. Like the first half of the book was kind of slow, but the second half was incredibly visual. Really cool book. Then I remember reading Celestine Prophecy, and that was a book kind of about energies and colors and how energies are different colors. Really interesting book. Basically in hostels, what you do is you'd say you'd read a book, and then after you're done with reading the book, you'd put it in the hostel, and you'd just swap out another book, which was pretty cool, because you could read a ton of books, and a lot of the books were recommended by other travelers. One of the other books I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People, so I got introduced to Dale Carnegie, one of my favorite people in the world. Rest in peace. But I definitely gained a lot from that book, and learning how to talk to people, how to talk to strangers. That book is really one of the best books. I think it was made in the 1930s or 1940s, but still relevant to today. Really good book. Recommend it if you want to improve your social skills. And then I read a book called Vagabonding. It was basically a traveler's guide. Really, really awesome book too. One of the podcast guys I listen to, Tim Ferriss, always recommends the Vagabonding book, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, let's see. So we rode the train down to Prague, and Prague is in the Czech Republic. Beautiful place, amazing. I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, nowadays it's gotten really touristy, so it's gotten kind of overly populated with tourists. Unless you go on the down season, which I definitely recommend, which is probably like November, December. But what's really cool about it is that it's kind of got a gothic feel to it. Like there's a lot of gargoyle statues. I remember that, and I remember walking to the Prague Castle, just walking the whole city. I was with Josh, and we walked on the Charles Bridge, and we walked basically the whole city. And I remember also one of the interesting things is, like, on the bridges they would have like locks of love locks. So there would be basically locks all over the bridges, and then there would be like initials of you and your lover or wife or husband or whatever. So that was kind of cool experience. After that, we flew over to Interlaken, which is in Switzerland. Oh, so beautiful. Such a cool place. But Interlaken is kind of like the adventurer's paradise. You know, basically anything outdoorsy you love, you can do in Interlaken. So I took advantage of it. You know, I basically, one of the things I did was I heard about one guy was holding like a skydiving trip over the Swiss Alps. So I was like, you know what? Why not? So I rode the motorbike. I rode a motorbike up to the this location where this guy was going to do some skydiving with about 10 other people right over the Swiss Alps. So I mean, frankly, I was scared. To be honest with you, I was scared. But the scariest part of skydiving was actually the flight up. Like this little propeller plane was really scary to fly up in, because we're going pretty much straight up, and then of course once we reached like 13,000 feet, we just basically had to jump out, and it was tandem. So you know, we had someone else who basically knew what they were doing. So you know, like, good luck, woo! You know, so yeah, so we jumped out of the plane. Such a cool experience, though. Nothing like it, you know. Just seeing how beautiful it was with the Swiss Alps and the so much greenery, and being up there is just an amazing experience. And the free fall was like 30 seconds, so it was pretty rad, for sure. Let's see, what else did I do? Yeah, then I remember riding the motorbike like the next day up to let's see, one of the highest points in all of Europe, actually. It's Mount Jungfrau, which is, I believe, 13,500 feet. And up there is really, really beautiful. It's freezing cold, of course, but up there, I mean, there's like, you'll see vultures up there. You'll see very few animals, but the vultures can make it. And incredible views of just the whole all the nature around you is just so incredible. And then at the top, there's like a rotating restaurant that you can eat in, and I had to eat in it just to experience it, you know, because YOLO, you only live once, right? And then, you know, then one of the next days, I remember this guy talking about going skiing on a glacier. So I was like, skiing on a glacier? That sounds kind of like icy and a little not too nice, not too comfortable. But you know, why not? Why not try it? Ski on a glacier. So check that off the bucket list, right? So I skied on the glacier that next day. It was like a 2-hour ride from Interlaken to the ski resort. And I went skiing on a glacier for a day. And yes, it was pretty much all ice, all super ice. And you had to actually hike up to the area where you'd ski at, and then you ski down this glacier. But unfortunately, the lifts weren't that good or that advanced. I don't know what it was, but you had to ride in one of those lifts where you hold on to the thing, and it kind of pulls you up, and then you have to hike another like quarter of a mile up, and then you ski down. So it was a pretty crazy experience. And let's see. After I left, so after that, after a few days of being in Interlaken, I think that I was there a week, and I also spent my birthday there. So it was pretty awesome, you know. They actually held a party for me in the hostel. So a bunch, like 10 or 15 of the people in there were just like, yeah, happy birthday, let's have a party. So we had a really rad party. It was like in the basement downstairs, blasting music. It was really cool, playing some hip hop, which is cool at the time. Old school hip hop. Yeah, so we did that, and then basically after that, I left the city of Interlaken and traveled to I can't remember, but I was basically one of the train stops. It was getting late. It was around 10 p.m. and I got off on the train because I saw that there was a hostel around there, and it was late and I was tired. I wanted to go to sleep, so I got off, went to the hostel, and they said the hostel was booked. So I was like, all right, well, I'll walk to the next hostel. I said, well, it's not for another mile and a half. So I walked it, you know. I walked 20 minutes to the next hostel with my big backpack and my little backpack too. And They said the hostel was booked as well. So I was like, oh man, what am I going to do now? It's around 11:30 p.m. and I have nowhere to sleep. Great. Okay. Brain, get working. So I went to so I just walked a little further, and there was no other hostels for like miles and miles and miles, and the trains were pretty much done going. So I could take a taxi, but that'd be like €100 to get to the next hostel, and I didn't have the money to do that. So I was like, you know what? I got a sleeping bag. There's a yard right over there, and I see some, like, it looks like a farm. So you know what? I'm just gonna sleep on the grass, sleep on this guy's lawn. So I got my sleeping bag. It was a warm, like a 30-degree sleeping bag, so it was good. Because it was pretty freaking cold. But I bundled myself up in the sleeping bag and slept there all night long from like 11:30 p.m. until like 5:30 a.m. until I heard the roosters crowing, cock-a-doodle-doo! Yeah, these guys were loud. Yeah. So that's how I woke up anyway. And as soon as the light was up and the roosters were crowing, I got up and started walking again, and then hopped on the train, rode to the next city. The next city was let's see, what was it? It was Milan. I rode to Milan, and Milan was interesting. I just explored the city for like a day. No, I didn't do too much, but I did like my laundry and things like that, kind of like. But I wasn't too excited about Milan, so I kind of skipped over Milan. But that night, I was planning on riding over to Venice, the train, but then there was no trains at like the train station I was in at like 11:30 p.m. 11. It was nighttime. I'm not sure the exact time, but I remember like I remember going to the train station, and there being this crazy guy in there speaking Italian. I had no idea what he was saying because, of course, I don't speak Italian. I speak a little bit of Spanish, from which I learned in high school, but not much Italian. I mean, grazie. That's about all I know for Italian. So I was kind of like scared because this guy was like speaking in Italian, like yelling and just be like, "Oh, it's crazy!" Like he seemed like he was really pissed off. Like, and so I'm like, okay, I'm in the train station. There's not a lot of people in here, and this is really weird. I'm just waiting for the train, and I don't think it's coming. So I was like, sure, I'll just go to the bathroom. I'll just sleep in the stall for the night. So I went to the bathroom, and that's what I did. I stayed in the stall all night because, I mean, like, who's going to bother somebody in the stall, right? I mean, if there's 3 other stalls, why would you use someone or knock on the door when somebody's in there? So why not stay in the stall? It's safe. Plus I can save money. I save 20 or 30 euro from because I don't have to pay for a hostel. So another money saver. So there's a few good reasons I stayed in the stall, and luckily the guy never went in the stall. In the morning, I just hopped on the next train to Venice. So, yeah, man, Venice. Whew, Venice is awesome. Venice is one of my favorite cities in the world. It's definitely a great place to spend like 2 days there, no more, no less. I remember when I was there, I was like, man, this is so romantic. I was there by myself, but I was like, this is so romantic. When I have a wife or a girlfriend one day, I want to bring them back here and experience this with them because this is so beautiful. There was no cars on the city, no cars allowed. The ambiance is just so romantic and beautiful. And what they do have is they have boats. They have little gondolas you can ride on, which is pretty awesome. I didn't do it at the time, but I just observed it, and this is something that I wanted to do with my future spouse or future girlfriend. So kept that for that. And I remember being in Venice, and just the buildings were so close to one another. Like, I remember getting lost in Venice and just walking and walking and walking and walking and not knowing where it was, but I didn't care. It's cool, I just wandered, and it was really, really such a cool experience. I mean, the streets were so narrow, and We're being a lot of there being a lot of vendors, just the little like the masks you can buy, the cool masks, and there were some really awesome cathedrals, and the churches there are beautiful, but really a cool city. After Venice, I cruised down to Florence, and I'm not naming all the cities that I went to, but I'm naming like some of the main ones, like I said before, you know. But I'm skipping over a lot. Um, But then I went to Florence, and one of the cities that was right by Florence is Siena. And I thought Siena was so awesome because it's like, I think it's like a 45-minute train ride down from Florence. But in Siena is basically one of the coolest, most beautiful cathedrals in all of Italy. It's called the Cathedral of Santa Maria. And I remember just like there being like, because I always like black and white checkered floors, like just a really kind of classy look. I remember there being these big pillars of like just golden stripes, and there being a lot of gold in the building, gold and maroon and just beautiful colors, kind of a royal feeling that it gave you, kind of a Gothic-ish royal feeling. So I thought that was awesome. And then, of course, I flew back. I went back to Barcelona. I mean, not Barcelona. I went to back up to, or I went down to Rome, and then from Rome, I flew over to Barcelona. Barcelona is really, really cool city. I love the beaches over there. The beaches are beautiful. Trust me on this one. The beaches are some of the coolest beaches I've ever seen. And then I remember being in Barcelona, like in the hostels over there. The people are really friendly. I mean, of course, like I said, in hostels, everybody is so easy to make friends. So some of the guys are like, hey, you want to go to the club with us? It's like around midnight. I'm like, well, sure, why not? You know. So I went out to the club, and it's crazy because like here in California, like those places, the clubs and bars close at 1:30 p.m. and over there, they don't get started till like 1 or 1:30 p.m. 1:30 a.m. Sorry, I mean a.m. not p.m. Correction there. But it was interesting because I remember being there and just like we stayed out till like 6 or 7 in the morning, and I'd never done that before. I stayed out so late and just like had such a great time connecting with these people. And I remember afterwards just going to grab some breakfast, and it was crazy just experiencing this, being out so late and having such a good time and being okay with it, you know. And just of course the next day we slept. I slept for a long time. But such a cool experience overall. And I gotta say, a lot of the times when I was in the southern part of Europe, I was kind of lonely. There wasn't a whole lot of people that spoke English. You know, even though I tried to start conversation with my phrase book, you know, speaking the different languages with my best interpretation, my best translation of it. Still, it was kind of lonely, so I played a lot of music. I read a lot of books, and just really enjoyed my time. And then lastly, well, not lastly, but after Spain, I flew over to, no, actually I rode a train from Barcelona or Madrid to Portugal, and I went down to Lagos, Portugal. And I got to say, Lagos, like the southern part of Portugal, is so beautiful. There was white sand beaches down there, and they had a unique drink down there, which is actually legal, and I believe it's not legal in the U.S. So I could be wrong though. It's called absinthe, and man, that drink is strong. And that, like, when you drink absinthe, you can feel like the burning down your throat. Okay, and the taste is kind of like licorice. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Jägermeister, but really intense drink, really, really strong drink. So I tried that when I was in Lagos, Portugal, and just again, like I said, like walking around the streets, walking around the city, walking around the beautiful beaches of Lagos is incredible. And I remember looking at the water, and it's clear blue water, perfect. And the cool thing is, there weren't very many tourists, so I was pretty much alone on this beach, and it's so beautiful, so beautiful. And then lastly, my last part of the trip, I rode on a train from there up to Paris, which is I think an 18-hour train ride, which was incredible. I was meeting my Aunt Tina up there. She was actually traveling to Europe, and I met her up there at the time, and basically spent a couple days with her. We went to the Eiffel Tower. We did a bunch of the touristy stuff, like the rooms at the Louvre, saw the Mona Lisa, got to check that off the bucket list. Went to the Notre Dame, went to the Arc de Triomphe, saw that. And Paris was also one of those cities that's really romantic. So it's definitely, it was a place that I could see myself taking, like, my future wife or my future girlfriend there when I have one, you know. And overall, you know, I gotta say, this trip was an incredible trip. It was my first time going overseas. And I was by myself, so it was a huge risk to really do this stuff, to do what I did. It was definitely worth it. I mean, I did lose a bunch of weight from all the walking I did and the minimizing of the meals that I ate, because I wouldn't always eat 3 meals a day. I'd usually eat like 2 meals a day to save money, so I could last for 3 months, so I could reach my goal of being there for 3 months. But I gotta say, like, lastly, man, traveling is the best way for personal growth. You learn so much about the people, you learn so much about the culture, you learn, like, the lifestyle, you see so many incredible things. And I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to travel, definitely take that opportunity. It's such an incredible experience, and you learn so much about people, and you realize, like, the world isn't nearly as bad as the news portrays it. The news makes it look so freaking scary, but it's not scary at all. The people really have traveled the world, and many of you know, like, I've been around the world, and the people, it's just as dangerous and just as safe anywhere else in the world than it is here at home. Like, it's no different. Just you see different experiences, and you'll have different experiences. So it's such a great opportunity to travel if you have one. You have such incredible stories, and it's awesome to step out of your comfort zone and just experience new things. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the next video. You don't want to miss it. All right. Have a good day. Take care.